It started as a drizzle, tapping on the window, a gentle reminder that the afternoon belonged indoors. Margaret set the scones out and checked her lipstick. Glancing at the mirror in the hallway, she practiced her smile. Over the past few months, her book club had become less of a gathering and more of a suffocation. Petty criticisms camouflaged in thoughtful readings, laughter that felt serrated. Still, Margaret played hostess. Teacups lined up like soldiers. She watched them arrive. First Janine, with her squashy laugh, then Ellen, sulky as always, and finally Denise, always Denise, who always found a way to mention Margaret's thinning hair. The rain outside thickened, a grey veil blurring the street. Inside, hot light glared from the kitchen, shadows clustered in corners. The women settled in, gossip surfacing crueler than usual. Margaret refilled cups and felt the hum of something under her skin. There had been rumors, ugly ones, circulating about Margaret's husband and that new woman at the bank. Margaret swirled sugar into her tea, hiding shaking hands. She tried to steer conversation to the book, an unreliable narrator, isolated and doubted by everyone. But Denise cut her off, voice hard. It's fiction, Margaret. Not everything needs to be about you. The night cracked. Later, when the police arrived, Margaret would tremble as she explained the screaming, the strange noises outside, the storm knocking out the power. She would say there'd been a stalker, a pale man, glimpsed in reflections, muddy footprints tracking down the hall. She would tell them she'd tried to fight, to protect her friends, but their blood pooling on the cheap wool carpet told a different story. Now, with their lifeless eyes staring at her, Margaret cleaned her hands and pressed their phones into silence. She rearranged her hair in the mirror, rehearsing her terror. She would tell the world about the man with the thin smile, the shadow who drifted behind fences and blinds. Obsessed with her book club, she'd mention the yellowed photograph she'd found, slipped under her door, a picture showing the group from behind, heads turned just so. Margaret would sob, describing the shattering glass, the cold knife in the dark. When the detectives asked why her hands weren't cut, like she claimed, why the ground outside was untouched, except for her own muddy shoes, Margaret's eyes grew wide. He was thorough, she whispered, and he's still out there. Long after the case went cold, people walked a little faster on her street, pausing at the empty windows of Margaret's house. Inside, alone, Margaret heard laughter in the pipes, and creaking behind the walls, a noise like footsteps, or maybe the start of an apology. The police never found the stalker, but every so often, Margaret glimpses a pale face in the rain-streaked mirror behind her, watching, waiting, just as she'd described.